Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming towards the end of the celebration, the Ceiliúradh. We're going to finish with a piece called Echoes of 1916, which is being presented by a company called Smashing Times Theatre Company, which has to be one of my favourite names of any theatre company in Ireland. It first of all suggests that it's going to be great fun and energy, and also maybe that they might smash a few things along the way. It's always good when a play does that. The play was directed by Mary Moynihan and Andre Baskell. I had the great pleasure of seeing extracts from this during the week in Smock Alley Theatre, and I was absolutely knocked out by it. After the play, we're going to finish with a rendition of O Róise de Bhathawáile. That'll be by the Cabra Historical Society, which was founded in 2009 with the aim of trying to preserve and conserve the traditions and the folklore of that historic part of Dublin. So, put your hands together for Echoes of 1916. Thank you.
The Easter Rising was an armed insurrection which lasted for 6 days. Organised by the Military Council of the Irish Republican Brotherhood, the rising begins on Easter Monday, 1916, as the Irish Volunteers, the Irish Citizen Army and Cumann na mBan gather across Dublin and seize a number of key locations. Barricades were erected around the city, which led to clashes with civilians, as the city filled with the sound of machine gun and sniper shots.
British retaliation was severe. On Monday night, fresh troops poured in to crush the rebel stronghold. General Sir John Maxwell put down the rebellion. Martial law was imposed. There were 97 court-martials where the verdict was death by firing squad. The majority were commuted to various terms of imprisonment, but 16 leaders were executed.
The rising begins with a failed attack on Dublin Castle, the centre of British rule in Ireland. The rebels then take City Hall and the GPO, amongst them Helena Maloney, a member of the Irish Citizen Army.
For at least 6 months prior to the rising, there's this huge feeling of tension. I was working in Liberty Hall at the time, in charge of a co-op, as well as organising the girls as part of a unit of the Citizen Army. At every hour of the day, we expected to be raided or arrested, and the paper seized. It was like a simmering pot. In early 1916, there's a raid on Liberty Hall when the police come into the shop to seize the paper. I always carry a revolver, for Countess Markovich had taught me to shoot. And I quickly draw my gun on them while Ginny Shanahan goes to get James Connolly. I'm holding my revolver when Connolly flies in and draws his. "We've come to seize the paper," says the officer. And Connolly replies, "You can't, but I have my orders." "You drop that," said Connolly, "or I'll drop you." We stand there holding our guns ready to fire, but then they walk out, saying they'd be back. But sure, they didn't come back, and the paper came out the next week as normal. From then on, all the activity at Liberty Hall increased, for we knew the rising would take place soon. On Easter Monday, the rising begins at 12 o'clock. Our party are instructed to attack the castle, the stronghold of foreign rule in Ireland, and off we march, myself, about 9 other women, and 30 men, all under the command of Captain Sean Connolly. On that Easter Monday morning, we felt, in a very real sense, that we were walking with Ireland into the sun. We advance up Dame Street towards the castle. We reach the front gate when a police constable comes out. He thought it was a parade. Sean went to go past him, and the police constable put out his arm to stop him, and Sean shot him dead. The first shot of the rising. The military guard starts to pull the gate shut, and Sean shouts, "Get in, get in!" But quick as a flash, the gates are closed. The sentry in the box makes as if to return fire, and Sean shouts, "Get back to City Hall!" So that's what we do, and we man it at once. The place is empty. We take up our various positions and wait. It is then the firing starts, and for the first hour, it's heavy. Soon after, Sean is walking across the roof. He should have been crouching, and he is hit by a sniper's bullet. Dr. Kathleen Lynn, the chief medical officer of the Irish Citizen Army, attends to him. He is bleeding heavily from the stomach, while I say the act of contrition over him. I'm afraid he is gone, she says. His young brother Matt is only 15. He is on the roof with us, and he cries as he watches his brother die. Toward evening, our building was bombarded by machine gun fire and bullets. The firing continues until we hear the windows at the back of the building smash and a column of soldiers pour in. A voice roars, "Surrender in the King's name." The call for surrender is repeated. And at 9:30, less than 10 hours after we have captured City Hall, we are taken. We are brought first to Ship Street Barracks, held there for 8 days, then to Richmond Barracks, and to Kilmainham. It is there the executions take place. We hear the shots every morning at dawn, and I know they are executing the men. The Republic had been declared, and it would live.
A battalion under Commandant Mallon and Countess Markovich marched to St. Stephen's Green. In spite of fire from the British snipers, the Green is held until Tuesday, when the insurgents retreated to the College of Surgeons. On Wednesday night, Margaret Skinnader is badly wounded while on active combat.
It was the third day of the rising. I'm upstairs studying a map of our surroundings and trying to find the way by which we can dislodge the soldiers from the roof of the Shelburne Hotel. Commandant Mallon comes in, and I ask if I can go out with one man to throw a bomb with an 8-second fuse through the hotel window. I knew there was a bow window on the side farthest from us, which was not likely to be guarded. We could use our bicycles to get away before the bomb explodes, if we're quick enough. He agrees the plan is a good one, but far too dangerous. I say, it's been my speed which has saved me so far from gunfire on the hotel roof. It was not that the British were doing us any real harm in the college, but it was high time to hit back, for a success would hearten the troops. He finally agrees, although he doesn't want a woman running this sort of risk. I say, we have the same right to risk our lives as the men. In the Constitution of the Irish Republic, women and men are equal. For the first time in history, a constitution has been written which incorporates equal suffrage. But the commandant, however, tells me there's another task to be accomplished before the hotel can be bombed, to cut off the retreat of a group of British soldiers who've climbed onto the flat roof of University Church and set up a machine gun there. We are being bombarded by machine gun and rifle fire, and we have to neutralize them. In order to cut off the retreat of these soldiers, it is necessary to burn down 2 buildings. Myself and William Partridge will lead a section of men towards the building, burning it down, forcing the enemy to withdraw. Mallon gives me 4 men to help. I feel elated. We lock and load our weapons, and once outside, run in short bursts along the side of the street. It only takes us a few moments to reach the building we are to set on fire. In order to gain entry, Partridge smashes the glass front with the butt of his weapon. A flash follows. His rifle is accidentally discharged. A volley of fire erupts from a nearby building. The flash has revealed us to the enemy. I rush forward, calling to the others to take cover as a second volley erupts. I've been hit. I've been hit 3 times. The others take cover, and before another volley can erupt, Partridge lifts and carries me down the street. On the footpath lies a dark figure in a pool of blood. It's Fred Ryan, a mere lad of 17. He has caught the full blast of the first volley of fire. I want to help him, but it's no use. He's dead. So knowing our mission had been compromised, we decide to fall back to the College of Surgeons. Once back in the college, the men lay me out on a table and cut away the coat of my fine new uniform. I cried over that. They thought I was crying from my wounds, but I was crying for my uniform, the battle dress of the Republic. I've been shot 3 times. Had I not turned as I went through the shop door to call the others, I would have got all 3 bullets in my back and lungs and surely would have died. They have to probe several times to get the bullets out. But the probing doesn't hurt as much as my disappointment in not being able to go back out and bomb the Shelburne Hotel. What really distresses me is the pain in my chest. When I try to keep from coughing, I make a queer noise in my throat. I notice everyone around me looking frightened. It's no death rattle, I explain, and they all laugh, except Commandant Mallon, who says that he cannot forgive himself for as long as he lives, having let me go out on that errand. But he does not live long, poor fellow. Commandant Michael Mallon is executed in Kilmainham jail after the rising.
At first, the public are against the rising. Then, opinions changed as people began to be outraged at the executions that follow. One of the leaders executed was Joseph Mary Plunkett, the youngest signatory to the Irish Proclamation. 7 hours before his execution, he marries Grace Evelyn Gifford at Kilmainham Jail Chapel.
I've never lived a normal person's life. I've always been in the thick of things. I was involved with Irish nationalism and the Irish Women's Franchise League. I met Joe at Scoilena, the boys' bilingual school run by Padraig Pearse. We were introduced through my sister Muriel's husband, Tomás MacDonagh, Joe's closest friend. Now, myself being a Protestant and he a Catholic, one would think automatically we couldn't be a match. But my growing interest in Catholicism drew us closer together and further into love. Joe was an accomplished roller skater, and being able to jump over 6 chairs at a time was, of course, an obvious attraction. My parents, however, were not so keen on the match. What with Joe being both extremely unwell and unlikely to live long, and a Catholic too, well, that just pushed them over the edge. But Joe and I were never going to let others dictate our fate. We got engaged on the 2nd of December, 1915. We were to be married on Easter Sunday, 1916, in the University Chapel, St. Stephen's Green. This, however, was not to be.
2nd of December, 1915. My darling Grace, I have been a damned fool and a blind imbecile, but thank God I see. I love you, and you only, and will never marry anyone else. Your lover, Joe.
But the rising came sooner than expected, and we could not be married. The week before, Joe was gay and bright, even though he was all the time in bad health. Shortly before the rising, he was hospitalized and had an operation on his neck glands. Although ill and bandaged, he still took his place in the GPO. Of course, he was completely reckless about his health. He used to ramble about the house in his pajamas looking for books. He was all the time composing poetry. On Easter Saturday, Mick Collins called to my house in Palmerstown Park. He has £20 and a revolver. Joe sent the revolver for me to defend myself, and the money in case I have to bribe the military. So he was evidently quite aware he would be captured. I see Joe on Holy Saturday and don't see him again until the day before his execution. My sister Nellie goes and joins the rising, and I was to go with her, but didn't.
To Miss Grace Gifford, 8 Temple Villas, Palmerstown Road, 6th day of the Irish Republic, Saturday, April 29th, 1916, about noon, somewhere in Moore Street. My darling Grace, this is just a little note to say I love you, and to tell you that I did everything I could to arrange for us to meet and get married, but that it was impossible. Aside from this, I have no regrets. I have told a few people that I wish for you to have everything that belongs to me. I give and bequeath everything of which I am possessed to Miss Grace Evelyn Gifford. This is my last wish, so please do see to it. Love, kiss, 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 Joe.
When the rising ends, Joe is taken to Richmond Barracks. I try to visit, but am refused.
Richmond Barracks, Tuesday, 2nd of May, 1916. My darling child, this is my first chance of sending you a line since we were taken. We have not had one word of news from the outside since Monday, except for wild rumors. Listen, if I live, it might be possible to get the church to marry us by proxy. There is such a thing, but it is very difficult, I am told. You know how I love you, and that is all I have time to say. I know you love me, and so I am very happy. Your
Lover.
Joe.
Wednesday, 3rd of May, 1916. The papers are saying Tomas MacDonagh, Padraig Pearse, and Tom Clark have all been executed at dawn in Kilmainham. We stay up all night, and the next morning, May 3rd, I am pulled by an unseen force. I keep insisting until the authorities agree we can marry. That day at 6 o'clock, I am summoned to the jail.
My trial takes place that afternoon in Richmond Barracks. I remain seated the whole time, never uttering a word or putting up any questions. But when it is over, I stand up with my hat in my hand and I say, "Up, Ireland!" I am brought back to Kilmainham and handed the death penalty. They leave me standing in the rain in the barracks yard. When suddenly, I see my father looking back at me from a cell window high up. We can't speak, so we just stand there for about a half an hour, looking at each other. Finally, they take me away to cell 88 for condemned prisoners.
At the same time, a Crossley staff car with 2 British officers comes and picks me up. I ask my father for his pocket watch to give to Joe, and on the way to the prison, I stop at Edmund Johnson's jewellery shop on Grafton Street. I buy 2 wedding bands and wrap them in tissue. For 2 hours, I walk alone up and down in the prison yard while Joe waits in his cell. Do you have the time?
9 p.m.
7 hours before his execution.
We are ready for you now. It is time to move to the chapel, madam. There's to be no touching or embracing. You only speak to answer the questions put to you. Do you understand?
As we gather in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed? From our school days, they have told us we must yearn for liberty. Yet all I want in this dark place is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn, as I walk out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall so everyone will know I've loved so much that I could see his blood upon the rose. hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They'll take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love, I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Immediately after being separated, I am taken to lodgings in Thomas Street. But in the early hours, 2 hours before his execution, I am called to the jail to say goodbye one last time. Just a few minutes to get married, and a few minutes to say goodbye. Then we are parted forever. He was the last of 4 men executed on the 4th of May, 1916. While Joe waited with his hands tied behind his back to be brought to the place of his execution, he was absolutely cool, calm, and self-possessed, as if he looked on what was passing and found it good. No fine talk, no heroics, a distinguished tranquility that came from his nobility and faith. Nothing more. Within a few minutes, the firing squad carried out their orders, and he was gone. Grief for the noble dead, for one who did not share their strife, yet mourned that any blood was shed, yet felt the broken glory of their state, their strange, heroic questioning of fate. Ribbons with gold, the rags of this our life.